So most lenses today are fast autofocus, and we're so used to that now, we're spoilt. But in certain situations and certain lenses, they are still manual focus. And one is being cheaper lenses out there, old lenses. So using an adapter and making the most of an old Nikon lens or an old Minolta lens or something like that. It's fully manual. To a modern Laowa 100mm macro lens, for example. And you need to set the camera up in a couple of ways just to be able to use it properly, and it really helps you get the shots that you like. So this photo here was taken with my Sony A1, but with a manual focus lens, and I've used a couple of techniques to get Star here, which is actually Tommy's sister, who lives next door, to get the shot sharp, even though I've had to use manual focus. If you're using a macro lens, a lot of the time you're at the maximum magnification, which means the autofocus on a lens won't really work anyway because you're so close to the item that you can't zoom in or zoom out. Well, you can zoom out, but you can't zoom back in, so you're never going to get any better from it. So that's why you use a rail as well on tripod to get the shot you want. Or if you're hand holding, you just move backwards and forwards slightly just to bring your insect or whatever in focus. The only other side of it is that you may have to start stacking if it's something that's not moving due to the depth of a macro lens, for example. So that's another story. So there's a couple of things you will need to do. Go into your menus. This is my Sony A1, and if you go down to the purple one there, which is AFMF, go into menu number 4, and then and the peaking display area as well. We're going to look at those two. So auto magnifier is off. Focus magnifier gives you a preview of it. Focus magnifier time, have it on no limit, and initial focus magnification 1, and AF in focus magnifier, you can leave that on. We then go to peaking, which I've turned on. I've got it on mid, and peaking color is red, which is quite handy. That allows you to see what's in focus by some colors. We then pop it into steady shot, and we set it to whatever the lens focal length is, and it gives you stabilization, which is actually usable. We then go to the toolbox down the bottom, go to Operation Customize, go across to Custom Key and Dial Set, go and find a button that you don't mind using. I use the top number 1, C1 button, and I've set it to Focus Magnifier. And that allows me to zoom in or on screen or via the viewfinder on the item I'm looking at, and it allows me to see closely. For example, Star, I've zoomed in and I can see her eyes are now sharp, and then I can take the photo. So, or you can use the coin that I was photographing there, and you can see it's nice and sharp, take the photo. So it just helps you, one, having stabilization if you're handheld, two, the focus magnifier, which obviously helps you by zooming in somewhat or 5 times or whatever, allowing you to see what if it's not quite perfect. It just gives it a few little adjustments. It's a really handy little tool. I use it quite regularly, and it's brilliant for the focus peaking as well. It just shows you what's in focus by giving you a red hue on parts of the image, so you can see what's in focus there. And if you're going to focus stack, which means the focusing is going to move with the across the depth or the width of the product you're shooting. It means you can see where you're in focus, and then basically take a picture, move the focus or move the camera forwards or backwards, take a picture, and then you could do 5 shots, you could do 30 shots or whatever. You can then, in Photoshop or whatever, you can stack it together and give you a shot that is much deeper than the lens can actually give you, because if you're shooting macro, for example, we're going to be shooting at f11 at least most of the time, and when you get closer and closer to a subject, that is where the depth gets shallower and shallower. So the likelihood of anybody shooting macro close up at f2.8 is very remote. So anyway, I hope that helps, just the little setup side of it, and go and experiment. I'll see you soon for another video.